Okay, so leakage, still a massive issue for the water industry. I think it was highlighted back when I started in the industry in 1995. There was a huge, great outcry that we had the drought, and then suddenly discovered that all the amounts of water that was leaking out of the pipes. Now we're, fast forward to the present day, still a problem, and both for the water company pipes, which obviously come under scrutiny, but clearly there's leakage in sort of household and commercial properties. So I guess just your thoughts as to how big the problem still is.
The problem is massive. It's obviously a global problem. Two-thirds of the world's population will suffer from water shortages in the coming decade. Um, but in the UK specifically, about 30% of drinking water is lost due to leaks, both in transit and in properties. And this is the equivalent of the total consumption of London on a daily basis. That's how much water we're wasting due to leaks. It's a massive problem. Now, a lot of it is lost in transit, and water utility companies are tasked with trying to fix it. But it is going to be a very investment heavy project. It is already, it's not going to be, it is. And yet there are quicker wins that we can focus on, like stopping leaks beyond the stopcock, which is inside properties, our homes, our businesses, because about 30% of all water lost in leaks is actually lost inside the properties after our stopcock. And this is something that water utilities will not be touching. It's not their problem. It is yours, it's mine. And we at Watergate, we are trying to address that kind of, I wouldn't call it a low-hanging fruit because it's not easy as well, but it is, I think, a quicker fix to at least 30% of the leaks currently present.
Yeah, and I mean, I guess there are various sort of fallouts from that. Clearly, there's a cost if you're paying for water, whoever it is. I mean, the water companies pay to treat it and then it disappears. Customers, if you're on a meter, you're paying for it and then it just leaks away. And I guess there's the sustainability imperative. Well, I mean, we all know water is a increasingly scarce resource. So there's a variety of reasons why it's important to tackle the leakage issue. Is that fair to say?
Yes, it's a massive sustainable problem for us, for everyone on the planet. And in fact, by mid-30s, England itself will need new water supplies equivalent to the total consumption of London. Yet again, about 3 billion liters of water, I believe. And it's not just for water utility companies to think about this as a sustainability problem. It's for all of us. We are equally responsible for what's happening around us, whether as a consumer or as a business. Obviously, businesses are now focusing on the ESG side of things. So businesses are quicker to react and care about sustainability. That's a requirement from the board of directors or from their investors. It's driven by multiple factors. Us consumers are less concerned, and this is worrying. We would like consumers to pay attention to that as well.
And maybe one other thing before we drill down into what it is you're doing. I guess there's an insurance issue as well because leakage happens, and depending, I know there can be spectacular and everyone knows about it, and we sort it, or there can be these quiet, sort of slow leaks in the background. But at some point, damage is done, and insurers have to pay out. So that's a sort of extra reason to address it both in sort of domestic situation and commercial properties. Is that right?
That is correct. And you've actually touched on the origins of the idea, the reason why I'm here, why Watergate exists. It's because of my experience in the insurance space. Back in the days, one of my first businesses was actually an insurance company called Neos, where we created the first home insurance that was providing our customers with preventative technology to stop bad things from happening rather than just paying out claims. And the business was later acquired by Aviva. It is now rebranded as Sky Protect. It still exists. I exited back in 2018, but and I'm sorry, I didn't mean to tell you my life story. It's just it all started with insurance because it was then in 2016 that I learned that water leaks are the #1 cause of property damage in the UK. They cost insurers. I mean, water leaks cost insurers more than fires and thefts combined, if you exclude explosions. It's about 30% on average. Depends, it swings between 28, 31 year on year, but it's around 30%. It's the biggest reason why our premiums for home insurance are as high as they are. And that's not the only problem. It's not just the insurance payouts or our insurance premium that is important to us as consumers or businesses. It's also the insurance excess now, which is our own contribution to any given claim. Before the insurer steps in, you have to, pocket the first part of the claim. And if you look at what's been happening over the last 12 months, mostly around the last 12 months, insurers have actually quietly started increasing water insurance excess in your policy wording. What this means is even if you select, I don't know, a new insurance policy for your home and you stipulate my own contribution, my excess is going to be £300 only. If you look at the small print, your policy wording, it is very likely that this is all fine except your water claim, because water claims usually have their own separate excess that's buried deep into your policy wording. It's usually 500 or even £1,000. So many claims are not reflected in insurance statistics purely because consumers have footed the bill, or they decided it wasn't worth claiming on insurance, because every claim is also going to hike up your price next year. Or, yes, insurance is a big water leaks are a massive problem for the insurance industry, but the insurance premiums are also a massive problem for us, and insurance excesses are massive insurance for us. We just don't think of it that way. But water is actually more dangerous, financially speaking at least, than fires and thefts combined.
Okay, so against the background we've sort of outlined, discussed, you decided to launch Watergate. So it'd be good to understand what the solution is to address some or all of the problems that we have been discussing.
We are focusing on how we can make, well, our vision is to end the era of damp water, because we're not smart at all when it comes to water consumption, and Watergate is here to address this challenge. We are a full stack technology business. We have a hardware component. In fact, I've got a device I can show you in a second. We have all the cloud infrastructure behind it. We've got backend and front-end applications. So you've got mobile apps and web interfaces. And all of this is very much powered by data science and AI to make sense of everything that's happening in your property. In kind of plain speaking, kind of in a simplified way, we basically brought a smart stopcock. If you think of what's happening in other parts of our lives, say a doorbell used to be just a push button. It is now a connected device that you can interact with your phone. Your thermostat, heating thermostat, used to be just a dial on the wall. Now it is connected to your phone. We're doing the same for your stopcock. So this is a new generation stopcock. Acts as a stopcock, could be used manually if you needed to, but it comes equipped with an array of sensors. There's an ultrasonic flow meter inside that is extremely precise, much more precise than any turbine water meter. Just to put it in context, a regular turbine water meter is usually unable to see water flows below 300 milliliters per minute, which is kind of the size of my mug. You could fill up this mug within a minute and your water meter wouldn't see water flowing at all. Our ultrasonic flow meter is about 10 times more accurate. So we will be able to see very small flow of water very accurately. But we also have a temperature sensor on board that allows us to tell you if your water temperature is nearing freezing temperatures, let's say in the wintertime, and if there is a risk, an elevated risk of Legionella developing in your system, because if your water is too hot and you're away on a holiday, there is a risk of Legionella developing in your system. We also have a pressure sensor. So overnight, when you are not using your water, we will shut off your water supply and run a pressure test. And this pressure test allows us to find tiny, teeny pinhole leaks that the flow meter, as much as it's accurate, may not be able to see. So we can pre-warn you or kind of alert you to problems that haven't manifested themselves just yet. It might be a leaky toilet. or it might be a hidden leak somewhere in the pipe in your walls that 6 months later is going to turn into a disaster. So that you can take preventative steps the moment we discover you've got a pressure loss in your installation. The device comes with a battery backup power supply as well. So in case of a power cut, it will run on batteries. And this device talks to our cloud, and you can see all your water statistics in our app. You can turn your water on and off from anywhere in the world. And if there's a problem, we will alert you to that problem. And you can then decide whether you want to shut off your water supply, or if you do not react to our notifications, we can automatically shut off your water supply to prevent damage. Our AI can tell a difference between a washing machine, dishwasher, toilet, shower, and so forth. So it builds a picture of what's normal in your property. And this then allows us to make more intelligent decisions as to, and give you more relevant statistics. That's just, I guess, the tip of the iceberg, because there's lots of functionality in the app. And then we've got additional applications for business customers who are looking after multiple properties, tens of thousands, for example. They have a bird's eye view from a single dashboard. They can see statistics. They can see how water contributes to their ESG efforts as well. We can optimize their operational costs through alerting them to an elevated risk of Legionella. If you're a landlord, you are legally responsible to make sure you conduct risk assessment, and you're obviously diligent in preventing Legionella outbreaks. Yeah, that's us. That's quite a lot, but I could talk for hours about our solution. I'm so passionate about it, but maybe some other time.
So in terms of the sort of identifying the leaks, is what you do you build up a sort of pattern of normalized water usage and then identify anything that is outside of that, or what's the exact process, I guess, or do you have sensors elsewhere, or is that a plan to have sensors elsewhere in the network? Just if in sort of semi-layman's terms, if you like, or semi-technical terms, how do you pinpoint or identify leakage?
It's a mixture of things, everything that you've mentioned and more. There is some conditional logic that you can preset within the app. So if certain things are true, then you want the device to react. For example, you may say, if water is flowing at a very low flow rate, but for a long period of time, unusually long period of time, which might indicate you've forgotten to close your tap, or it might be a leak. Let's say there's a very low flow of water for a preset amount of time. The default setting is 60 minutes, but you can change it to as little as 1 minute. Notify me, please, and or shut off that water supply. Equally, if water is flowing at a high flow rate, very massive flow rate that is a bit unusual as well, and a certain threshold of the volume of water that has been consumed has been breached, again, notify me or shut off water supply. For example, you may want to set it at, I don't know, 100 liters of water, because the average shower is, say, 60 or 80 liters of water. If there's an event that is bigger than 100 liters of water, let me know or shut off my water supply. And then there's AI that we are currently working on to help us make more meaningful decisions, where it looks at the patterns of your water consumption and taking into consideration the types of appliances that it's seeing can alert you to, say, a leaky toilet, because this particular pattern the AI knows is an indication of a leaky toilet with a high degree of accuracy. So yeah, and there's more. There's the pressure tests that again are there to detect pinhole leaks, and we will be bringing more and more intelligence over time.
Yeah, and I'm wondering whether it's now or again in the future. Presumably, you've got the ability to obtain sort of metrics over quite a long period of time, which might help people just understand their water usage, and therefore, to what we were talking earlier about water conservation, you might be telling them you seem to be using a lot of water, whether it's to in the shower or the bath or whatever it is. So highlight to people that this is unusual. Or, you can potentially save. What is that in the plans, or is that already a possibility?
Yes. So there are a few things that we are working on right now. Some of them I cannot tell openly about just yet, but suffice to say that we're on the mission to change your behavior in a positive way, as in we want you to reduce your water consumption. So we are working with behavioral scientists in creating certain changes of behavior and building new habits. It's like, with smartwatch that prompts you, gamifies the whole experience and makes you a bit healthier. We are going to be applying certain things to the relationship between us and our consumers, our kind of residents living in apartments run by our customers, etc. And yeah, we do have statistics. We have comprehensive statistics showing your water consumption over time. We're showing you your other sort of telemetry data like temperature over time, pressure over time, and more. And we have already observed that everyone who is exposed just to the data, even before we've deployed those behavioral sort of changing nudges, are consuming about 15% less water over a period of after the first 3 months of being exposed to that data. So yes, we want to change your behavior, and we are actively working on making it happen. And sorry, you touched on another thing earlier, asking whether we have like sensors in addition to the main device. And yes, this is partially confidential, but because it's going to be announced over the next few weeks, I'm happy to show you, give you a sneak peek. This is a point sensor, probably one of the thinnest in the world. This is a prototype. It's not the actual device just yet. The final version will look even better. It's something that helps us extend the protection from just your freshwater supply to your waste pipe, closed circuits like your heating systems, alerting you to problems related to weather-related kind of water ingress. This device basically will alert you to a localized leak, like a leaky waste pipe from your toilet or another appliance. Because it's so thin, it can actually fit under your appliances, like washing machine, dishwashers. There's plenty of point sensors out there in the market, but they are very thick. None of them actually fits under an appliance. And even if they do, the appliance acts as a Faraday cage to some extent, because a lot of metal, and they cannot transmit radio reliably. Our device has been optimized to use our proprietary, it uses our proprietary radio, which is very long range, very energy efficient. And this allows us to put it under appliances and still communicate very reliably. And it's battery powered, will last up to 10 years on batteries. So there is very little maintenance needed, and will alert you to leaks as well as increased humidity. So conditions that can lead to, damp or mold developing in your property. So yes, we will also extend the ecosystem of our products beyond just the stopcock.
And in terms of routes to market, I mean, as we started at the start of the conversation, we mentioned theoretically the water companies aren't responsible once it comes to your boundary of your business, but clearly they are interested in promoting water conservation, etc. And then I guess the insurance industry, landlords. So how are you hoping, or what's the plan to get the solution out there to market into homes and commercial buildings?
Yes, I wouldn't want to come across as someone criticizing water utilities that they don't care what's happening in your home. It is legally speaking, it's not necessarily the primary focus, because they need to focus on the pipes transmitting, leading to your property. But they are incentivized. They need to reduce overall water consumption. They are required by the regulator to reduce water consumption. So they are very open to promoting solutions that can help consumers or businesses reduce their water consumption. So they are one of our potential routes to market. We are already in discussions with multiple water utilities, and the business case is still to be defined, but I'm pretty sure that they will be very supportive. What we would like to hope, what we hope to achieve as a minimum is a system similar to that in the US in certain states, where water utilities incentivize you with credits on your bill if you put a water saving technology in your property. If you're in Nevada or California, the moment you install a solution similar to ours, the water utility gives you a credit against your bill. And same with insurers. Insurers reward you with a discount or one of kind of fee or a voucher to again reward you for being more proactive. So insurers is another channel for us. We are in discussions with multiple insurers. In fact, a few of them are already sending customers our way, and they are rewarding them with discounts off of their premium. So there's a win-win-win. Seems cliche, but it's a win for consumer, it's a win for insurer, it's a win for us and for the environment as well. Other distribution channels is we are building a network of trade partners, distributors, resellers, Watergate certified installers, plumbers who are out there in the world and are interacting with plumbing systems day in and day out. We are selling directly to certain big accounts, big customers who have massive portfolios of properties, and we will soon be launching an e-commerce functionality on the website as well, so that everyone can buy the product from our website.
Okay, and I guess another obvious question is, we've talked a lot about the technology, but are there practical examples? Have you been carrying out trials? And I think I saw something recently about, is it Greystar, a real estate company you have been working with? So just, what trials you've been doing, including this one, what can you share as to real world experience, if you like?
Well, we are past trials as a product, but obviously depending on the relationship that we have, some partners still want to run a small pilot first before deploying at scale. And yes, we are deploying at scale now with multiple partners. Some of them are shown on our website logos. Greystar is a good example. I presume you may have seen a press release about the first large-scale deployment that we've done for them, and we are in the process of deploying more and more devices for them. Greystar is one of the world's largest property owner operators. I think they are nearing 1 million properties worldwide, mostly in the US, but they are also a very strong and fast-growing operator here in the UK. And yes, they are a market leader in terms of sustainability when it comes to water consumption. The projects that we've deployed for them have already identified the solutions that we deployed for them on their projects have already identified multiple problems with their water supply. I don't want to say whether it's Greystar or anyone else, but on average, amongst our portfolio, we're seeing about 10% of properties we're getting into have some sort of a pre-existing problem, which is a massive issue. In fact, some of them are consuming so much water that it is mind-blowing. It's just mind-blowing. We had an example of a leaky toilet. It was actually at a property from Greystar, and the property manager is happy to share his experiences because he says it's just so important that they make it a shining example of the direction they're going into. And a leaky toilet was stuck, and it was consuming 8.4 liters of water per minute. That's like 500 liters of water per hour, which is 12,000 liters of water per day. That's just like crazy. 360,000 liters of water per month if they didn't know water was flowing. Imagine an apartment, because this particular one is a student accommodation, and students started moving out. This one was left vacant, and our Sonic reacted quickly, told them about the problem, and they went in, checked in, and imagine this room staying unoccupied for a month. 360,000 liters of water gone.
Okay, maybe to sort of finish or summarize, what else can you tell us in terms of the roadmap for Watergate? I think you've alluded to a few things, and I'm sure some of it is secret, confidential, but in terms of, I suppose, if we were to have a conversation in a year's time, 6 months or whatever, what else would you hope to have achieved in terms of growing the company's presence and or if there are any additions, like you've obviously shown us the sensors, but if there are any other things that you plan to add to the portfolio, I suppose?
We are, roadmap is we've got multiple roadmaps. So from the sort of, I guess, market penetration point of view, we are very keen to build a network of Watergate certified installers UK-wide. We are recruiting plumbers and plumbing companies and facility managers to help us make it a reality. So ultimately, we want to be everywhere in the UK and have certified installers who can sell and install our products within your kind of local area. We do want to educate the market. We are already participating in a discussion around water conservation. We do want to make a meaningful impact. We've just recently sent out letters to 4 ministers who, as you probably know, most likely know, have pledged to build 1.5 million of new homes. And they are very keen to think kind of about sustainability. In our view, mandating the use of devices like our Watergate Sonic is a no-brainer, because this isn't going to cost the taxpayers any money, and it is going to make those homes sustainable. In fact, just putting a solution like ours in those 1.5 million homes will be the equivalent of filling up the largest reservoir in Wales over the period of this parliament. We do want to launch new products. The point sensor called Tile is the next device that we will be bringing to the market, and we are working with scientists and regulatory bodies on quantifying the effect of water savings on your ESG score if you are a company. So hopefully we'll be leading the way in the ESG space in relation to water. Ultimately, as Watergate, we want to become a noun and a verb. So, you know, instead of saying, do you have a stopcock? In the future, you need to be saying, do you have a Watergate? That's the dream.
Well, it's fascinating to chat to you, and in what can be quite a traditional industry, it's great to see innovation going on. So really appreciate the chat and for the explanation what you're up to, Krystian. Thank you very much indeed. Thank you.
Thank you, Phil. Thank you. Pleasure being here.